kids eating fries with an ashtray sitting right on the table. That was normal. You sat there with your burger while someone nearby lit a cigarette, and nobody thought twice. No calorie counts, no nutrition charts. A hamburger could cost around 30 cents in the early 70s, and to you, it just meant one thing. This was a treat. You unwrapped that thin paper, felt the grease on your fingers, and reached for the fries. And those fries tasted different. I will tell you why in a minute. First, let's rewind to how fast food really exploded in the 1970s. By the early 1970s, fast food was spreading fast. New suburbs were popping up, highways were busier, and those big roadside signs were impossible to miss. McDonald's, Burger King, and KFC were opening locations across the country, sometimes just a few miles apart. Eating out wasn't rare anymore. It was becoming part of the weekly routine, after Little League, after church, after a long drive. But it still felt smaller back then. Fewer menu items, no giant combo boards, no endless options. You walked up to the counter, looked up at a simple sign, and made your choice in seconds. It was growing fast, but it hadn't turned into the machine it would become later. Walk into a McDonald's in the 1970s, and the menu was simple.
Good morning, America. Come join us for breakfast.
You're the one. We're fixing breakfast for you. You're the one.
McDonald's hamburger, cheeseburger, Big Mac, fries, shake. That was most of it. The Big Mac had gone nationwide by the early 70s, and it felt big back then. 2 patties, special sauce. A regular hamburger could cost around 30 to 35 cents in many places. There were no calorie numbers next to anything, no charts on the wall. You ordered because it sounded good, not because you were counting anything. Your burger came wrapped in thin wax paper that turned see-through from the grease. You remember that feeling on your fingers. No giant combo boards, no endless options, just food, a tray, and a seat. Smoking wasn't tucked away in some back room. It was right there at your table. Small metal ashtrays with the logo stamped in the middle sat between the salt shakers and napkin dispensers. A parent would take a bite of a burger, then light up without missing a beat. The smoke hung in the air, mixing with the smell of hot fries and ketchup. You sat there dipping your fries into those little paper cups of ketchup, and nobody thought twice about it. There were no smoking sections in the early 70s. No separation between smokers and everyone else. Just burgers, fries, and cigarette smoke drifting across the dining room. If you were there, that smell is probably still somewhere in your memory. It was part of the experience, and nobody called it strange. The drive-thru started spreading in the 70s, and once you used it, it felt modern. McDonald's and Burger King were adding them everywhere.
Welcome to Burger King.
Yeah, Whopper extra onions, please.
No problem.
Whopper, no pickles.
No problem.
Hey, guys.
Cheeseburger, extra ketchup.
No problem.
Hold the tomato.
No problem.
You pulled up to that small metal speaker and heard the crackle of static. Sometimes you had to repeat your order. Sometimes they still got it wrong. You remember that sound, but you didn't have to park. A paper bag came through the window, and you were on your way. No apps, no digital menus, just a voice, a bag of food, and a quick handoff. By the mid-70s, a fast food job was almost a rite of passage. McDonald's, Burger King, KFC. If you turned 16, this is where you ended up. Minimum wage in 1975 was about $2.10 an hour. You wore a polyester uniform, maybe a paper hat or visor, and worked the counter or the fry station. If you did fries, you remember the heat. That rush when the basket came up and the salt hit the top. The smell of grease soaked into your clothes and hair, and there was no hiding it. It wasn't glamorous, but it was your first paycheck, your first bit of independence. A lot of people watching this know exactly what that felt like. Not every fast food place felt the same. Walk into a Pizza Hut in the 1970s and it almost felt like a real night out. Those red roofs stood out from the road. Inside there were checkered tablecloths and those hanging stained glass lamps over every booth. You didn't grab your food at the counter. You sat down. A waitress came over. The salad bar started showing up in the mid to late 70s, and loading up your plate felt like a bonus before the pizza even arrived. Then, the pan pizza came out in that dark metal tray. Still hot, edges crisp from the oil. I'm pretty sure you can still taste it if you think about it. That first bite, that thick crust, it wasn't just dinner, it felt like something special.
How about something different this time?
How about,
Pizza Hut! Man, pizza! All right!
Pan pizza at Pizza Hut when you're looking for specialized.
If pizza felt like a night out, fried chicken felt like bringing dinner home.
Now hear this is crispy, what a meal. It's the Colonel's extra crispy, what a meal. If you love extra crispy, you know it's a must. You've gotta get your chicken from the people you trust.
KFC had those big buckets stacked behind the counter, and you knew exactly what was inside. The original recipe was already famous by the 70s. Extra Crispy had launched earlier in the decade. A bucket on the table meant mashed potatoes, coleslaw, biscuits, and no cooking that night. You opened the lid, and that smell hit immediately. If you were the kid reaching in first, you were looking for the biggest piece. And somehow, there was always that quiet debate over who got the drumstick. It wasn't fancy, it was fast, but it felt like a full meal. Before everything became drive-through lanes and speaker boxes, there were still places that felt older than the decade itself. A&W restaurants kept that drive-in feel alive.
Hurry up.
Yep.
You stayed in the car. A car hop walked out with a metal tray and hooked it onto your window. You remember that tray. A little shaky if you bumped the door. The root beer came in a thick frosted glass mug, and in the mid-70s it could cost around 25 to 35 cents in many locations. No plastic lid, no paper cup, just cold glass and foam rising to the top. On a hot summer day, that first sip hit different. It wasn't rushed. It felt like summer. The prices back then almost don't feel real today. In many parts of the country in the mid-1970s, a basic hamburger could still be under 40 cents. A full meal with fries and a drink might cost around $1 and change. Even by the late 70s, eating at McDonald's or Burger King didn't feel like a big financial decision. Gas in 1975 averaged around 57 cents a gallon, and fast food prices fit that world. You paid in cash, maybe coins, and thought more about what you wanted than what it cost. It was affordable, predictable, and easy, and that is part of why it became part of the weekly routine. Here's something most people didn't think about back then. There were no nutrition labels anywhere, no calorie boards above the counter, no one talking about trans fats or sodium. You ordered because it sounded good. That was it. Burgers were cooked on flat grills, cheese was that bright processed slice, and fries were still made in beef tallow at most locations before the switch in the 1990s. That's why they tasted different, richer, deeper. If you remember that flavor, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It wasn't about counting anything. It was about taste, and that simplicity shaped how an entire generation experienced fast food. By the late 1970s, competition between chains was heating up. Burger King was pushing the whole flame-broiled message hard. Have it your way started showing up everywhere. McDonald's stayed focused on speed and consistency. KFC leaned into family meals. The ads were simple but memorable. Jingles you could hum without even trying.
Can't you feel us changing? Feel us rearranging? Don't you feel like a burger chef?
At Burger Chef, we're doing more to give you more.
You remember those commercials coming on between shows. It wasn't aggressive the way marketing feels today, but it was everywhere. And little by little, fast food stopped being a novelty and became part of everyday life. But here's the part most people forget. Fast food in the 70s wasn't just about grabbing something quick, it was quietly shaping routines. Friday nights after a game, a stop after church, a paper bag handed into the back seat on a long drive. The menus were shorter, the buildings were smaller, no giant digital boards. You went in, you ordered, you ate, and you left. Before smartphones, it slipped into everyday life quietly. And once it did, it never really left. Subscribe to Memory Trails so you don't miss what's coming next. And check out some of the other videos while you're here. There's plenty more where this came from.